All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome here to Boots on Ground Radio. You got Hecubus, the one and only Dr. Russ Owens, here with the turf teacher, with two
the professor.
Vets.
Well, that's right. I mean, think about it. You are a PhD. I am a professor.
Calm down.
I am. I will. You know, my goal is to have on my my tombstone, Eric W. Jones, comma PhD. Maybe. I don't know. Should I go back?
For what? Which particular? I mean, are you like horticulture or something else?
You know, I would love it to be in landscape architecture, but when it comes to landscape architecture, you have to. It's an on-campus program. There's no.
Oh, I gotcha. Okay.
The modality for online and hybrid just doesn't fit in. It's called table time. Like you're behind a.
Well, I guess that makes sense. Yeah, because that's. I mean,
it's what we do. We draw.
What? So if you went from now, and everyone's like, Jesus, they just jumped right into the topic. Yes, we did.
No introduction.
It's been a late night for both of us and an early morning and all the things. So welcome to Two Landscape Vets here on Boots on Ground Radio. How long is if you started today, how long would that process be without gaps and stuff like that? You know what I mean?
It really depends. Like, you know, because I got hurt in the Army while I was actually, you know, well, I started a master's program while we were deployed through Clemson University as a master's in biological science. And so I was like, this is cool. This is going to really work out, you know, because the classes had, you know, the chemistry, it had the plant science, it had all kinds of stuff like that. I'm like, this is really well. And it also had some medical, like how the body works and stuff. So I'm like, you know, I would be, you know, a biologist. But I got hurt. So kind of long story short with that, Clemson was not, they were not real military friendly. Everybody thinks they are, but they wanted their money when I got hurt right away. And thanks to the U.S. Army, you know, they stepped in and covered that. But if I started now, I've looked at some programs. But first of all, Russ, do you think I have the time to jump into PhD?
I do, only because you were one of the only people. I mean, there's maybe 2 or 3 people I know in my entire sphere these days that would figure out the time. Like, I don't know how, but you would. Like, that's the thing. Like.
I'm already preaching what I practice. I'll sleep when I'm dead. But
yeah, no, absolutely. I think we're both about there. But no, but seriously though, I mean, like I mean, I get it. Like there, you know, you've got a lot of stuff going on, but it's, I mean,
you know, I'm still,
you and I are both into the idea of learning,
yeah,
and constantly learning, constantly
yes.
bettering ourselves with more knowledge and trying to figure out how we can continue that.
Yes,
you know, that line.
It's, I don't know. You know, I still want like technical. And I really need to talk to some advisors. Guys, yes, I teach at a college, so you know, I've looked at Penn State.
Okay.
You know, turf grass.
Yeah.
You know, which there might be some time there, but they do have a master. So I'd kind of forget what I did at Clemson and then kind of move over to that and finish it.
Gotcha.
But a lot of these programs are very expensive. Like, you know, $1,000, $1,500 per credit hour, meaning, you know, each class is 3 credit hours, and then there's 30 total. So, I mean, do I really want to drop $40,000 into a master's program? That's the key point. Probably not. My alma mater, North Carolina A&T State University, you know, is where I got my undergraduate in landscape architecture, has a leadership program. Like they have a PhD in leadership.
Interesting.
And so I think for my, if it was going to like boost me on the the turf teacher side.
Right. Well, yeah, exactly. That makes sense as far as going. I see you doing more of that type of thing in that transitionary period of semi-retirement.
I'm never going to retire.
You know what I mean? But well, that's what I'm saying though. But like, you know, you kind of retire out of certain things, and then you go into a different role.
Yeah.
With that more hyper focused role of one particular field.
Yep.
I think I see that happening.
And, I kind of come up with the idea of, like the landscape leadership series.
Yep.
I mean, do I really need to go and finish a master's or get a master's in something that, I've been in this my whole career other than the time in the military.
Right.
So can I learn some more about turfgrass? Can I learn some more about landscape architecture? Absolutely. But what's going to be more beneficial for me as a leader in this industry? How could I better serve my listeners, my turf teacher clients? What is it that would benefit them the most? And probably something like a leadership doctorate, or but there's even UNCG has like business leadership PhD. They have a PhD in
You do realize
business
that
administration.
you make this happen, and I swear for every day I will refer to you as Dr. Jones.
Dr. Jones. No.
And you can call me Short Round. It's fine.
Yes.
But yeah, no, seriously, it's I see, and that's the thing that in this industry, I feel like a lot of guys are like here, there, and everywhere. Like they're trying to like figure out their focus, and they want to learn this or they want to learn that, and they feel like if they focus on one thing, then that's the only thing they're going to do, which is not necessarily the case. But at the same time, look at the long term of why you're learning that. What are you going to apply that for, and is that going to give you the benefit for the cost? Because like you were talking about Penn State, $40,000.
Yeah.
What's the benefit out of that? Do you have the and some people now, especially nowadays, some people are like, oh, it's worth the knowledge, but
Yeah.
okay, that's great, but what is that knowledge going to pay you?
True.
Because you have to get paid for that knowledge at some point.
Yes. And and I do with the turf teacher, side of the house. But with everything else that's going on in my life, that's kept the landscape afloat. Just
Right.
because took care of Dad while he was sick, and it's been a full year now since Dad's passing, and things are, with the elite landscape contractor side, dude, I see that really becoming something strong again.
Absolutely.
Back when Dad and Mom were running it hardcore. And it's all because of you. Like,
Whoa,
dude,
don't go there.
Well,
Like I'm helping. I'll say that, but it's not all because of me.
well, since you've been here, there's definitely, just with the help with the day-to-day operations, man. Talking to the clients, look what you do for me, like, and how you've grabbed those bull horns by the horn and said, hey, I got this, and the customers love you, like, everybody that meets you loves you, and they're tickled to talk to you, they're happy to talk to you, and even with the guys, man.
Are you saying I have value?
You have
Brought value.
You have extreme value. Extreme value.
If you're listening, you know.
But you've kind of taken that off.
I got you.
When we finish the show, I'm usually leaving here to go to campus.
Yeah,
and you're getting the guys going, and we've grown. Elite Landscape has grown since you've been here.
Yeah, we've
and
almost doubled the staff, basically.
Yeah,
when you think about the people, but and it's been an amazing journey so far. It's only been a couple of months, but expanding things out and trying to, like, all of a sudden it's like, oh wait, now I need to find more jobs for the guys because we have the people.
Yes.
And now we need, so we need the boots on ground.
Yeah.
So
well, and it's dude, I always think of this and talk about this with Mom and Jennifer and stuff. It's like you're paying your way, like just everything that you're doing, keeping up with. Like the little stuff that we do for clients is basically paying your because it slipped through the cracks. The guys that we have working for us are great. I love them to death as people, but they're not ready to be, in charge of anything.
Sure, yeah.
They're
still learning how to be leaders. They're still learning how to be, supervisors.
Yeah.
Just they're learning that, like, oh, I have to have this in the back of my head going on of I'm doing these things. I need this stuff on the truck.
Yeah. I mean, you're the first sergeant.
Oh, shit! I am, aren't I?
You are the
How did that happen?
You have now officially made rank of first sergeant, and you're dealing with a bunch of infantrymen.
I'm putting that on my business card.
Yeah. What do you do for elite landscape country? I'm the first sergeant. They call me top. But
I told all the guys this morning when I go out there, from now on, you call me top.
You address me as first sergeant.
If I say at ease, this is what you do.
Yeah. At ease! What? Yeah, Caleb would just say, what?
Funny because I'm wearing.
Look at you. You got camo on.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got some Air Force patches.
So everyone listening, because you can't see, I have my unit patch on top.
Airborne.
And then I have an Air Force patch. This is my dad's
Yeah.
patch that he had, and then this is my grandfather's rank.
So your dad,
Patch.
your dad tech sergeant. Right?
This was one of his, yeah, because we were talking about the other day. This was one of his older uniforms because
he made Master Sergeant.
Whatever the next, yeah.
Yeah.
It sounds weird if you say because to me I'm thinking
E8 in the Army.
Yeah,
but
it's
a
not
Master Sergeant in the Air Force is E7.
But whatever, yeah, he made E7. This is his tech sergeant uniform patch that he had that he gave to me, and then this is my grandfather's AA from when he was in Korea.
Cool.
So I've got I decided it's like a tribute jacket type of thing. This is my replicants thing from Blade Runner.
Okay.
The movie Blade Runner.
Yeah.
I got a patch. I bought a patch from that. So that's the patch that they wore in the movie of the unit patch there. So just all kinds of weird things. Charles Manson's eyes there.
Is that your crest?
And then this is my grandfather's as well.
Oh, okay.
This is one of my grandfathers, and I've got my mom's one of her brownie, like when she was a brownie, she got a pin for something. So yeah, same thing with this number 2. It looks like it's a military thing, but it's actually from Girl Scouts. So I just got all kinds of stuff.
And I'm sure, if you were to wear this, let's see, Veterans Day is coming up. We're going to go to Appleback. No, I said Appleback.
Appleback.
It's Applebee's.
I was like, is that a knockoff version here that in North Carolina that they have that's even worse than Applebee's?
But you see the line is out the door for
for the free stuff. Yeah.
And so if you were to wear that in, people are going to be like,
Dude, I've gotten called out for stolen valor wearing this before, and I'm like, are you serious right now? I have an all-star vending patch on here.
And Charles Manson.
There's no what exactly am I trying to be?
Not,
on this.
Tim Kennedy and all them guys are going to see you out at Lowe's one day, and they're going to be like, stolen valor. You're going to be on YouTube, and then they're going to look at your military history and be like,
it's just funny the way that people. Well, and this is my actually underneath here. So check this out.
Your PT.
This is my.
That is super thin. You said it got thin.
This is my original PT, the one I was originally got in basic training in 1994.
Wow.
The very first one. And you could I can see you through this.
I still have some. I still have my pea coat from Navy Basic. I don't think I have any dungarees.
Oh, that'd be awesome to see you in dungarees.
Dude, I could not fit.
Those are the bell-bottomy things, right?
Yeah. I could not fit in
Doug,
dungarees.
Doug said, good morning, Doug. Good morning, brother. And Doug, thank you. I want to tell you this on the air, brother. Thank you for your commitment and your support to this new station, this new endeavor, man. I know it's been a struggle with some stuff, and you've had to endure some things, but I appreciate you, man.
Even as a listener,
as
a listener, look what he's had to go through.
Yeah, so I appreciate you, man, and for all of you listening, we appreciate your support on that. I didn't need to get on the sideboard on that, but I just got to say that because all of you, everybody out there listening, all of our new listeners, and the ones who continue to listen to us from our previous endeavors, thank you so much.
From the bottom of our hearts.
Yes. No, so a question on the dungaree thing. Why are they bell bottoms? Is it so you float when you drop in the water, like they act as buoys? What happened?
Okay. So we can slip off, because we can slip them off of our boots.
Okay.
All right. So
no, but here's the weird part though. I always feel like, and maybe this is just because I've never actually worn them, so I don't know. But if I've always felt like they're like bell bottom, but then are they not skinny up top. You know what I mean?
Yeah, dude, they're like 1970s disco jeans.
Okay.
Like,
So they're like baggy up top as well.
If I
Like
just
they're
had
not
on-
they're not those newer type where like the
Well,
newer
they're not-
style where it hugs your thighs, because that's
they
what I always
hug
thought. Like,
they hug, bro.
so then how do you pull your
Like,
boots
you-
off though?
you
That's what
can-
I'm saying.
You can see the package. Like,
So then how do you pull your boots off? I mean, I get the bell bottom part as far as being able to pull the boots
I don't
off, but
know,
once
I
you get
was-
up to the thigh part, how do the boots still come off?
I don't know.
It's
I
so
was-
weird.
I was a 28 waist then. Like, they slipped off.
You just undid the top
okay,
button and they
but-
just dropped.
But seriously, like, I only wore them in basic training. Like,
Well, okay.
so,
Yeah, good point.
Because
Good point.
that's what they issue to everybody.
Yeah.
And but dude, like, they got to be very comfortable, and especially even the boondockers. Like the shoe, we didn't wear combat boots; we wore boondockers.
Corey said, "Oh wow, I forgot about the front pockets."
Yeah, the front pocket. Yeah, you couldn't put nothing.
Let's talk about the front pockets then, because I don't know about the
They
front
were like
pockets then.
square, and they were like right, like, dude, you could. I couldn't put my hand. Like, you talking about the Army would give us trouble for
Right.
why you got your hands in your, like, you could not put your hands. You couldn't put nothing in those front dungaree pockets.
So they were like just unusable, basically. Like they were there for show,
Yeah.
kind of thing. Okay,
Yeah.
kind of like women's jeans where they have like the little pockets that don't actually. They're like sewn up, basically. I mean, obviously these were they sewn up or no? They were open.
What do you mean?
Like as far like on
They were
a lot
open,
of
yeah.
women's jeans, like
Oh,
they
they-
aren't even. They're like sewn shut. You know what I mean? So
they
it's
were
like-
open. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
they were open.
I just didn't know
So
if it was one of those things of like we still have these, but they're not actually usable at all. But
And I don't, to
Okay.
be honest with you, man, I don't know how we even carried stuff, like, because I mean, I did like there when I was in A school too, we still had to wear them some, but I'm like, hey, what did I even do with my car keys? That was like, because you know how in the Army, like, everybody wore a backpack. Like if you had a either a black backpack or the backpack pattern matched your uniform, like. We had ACUs. You could wear an ACU
right, yeah.
backpack or a black backpack, and you could throw your
Gotcha.
keys and wallet and stuff like that in there, because even the Army didn't want stuff in your pockets.
Yeah.
But-
Well, and the thing was too, like the pockets in the well, I mean, I never wear the ACs, but the BDUs, they were like thin. So if you had stuff in that, like it was
Just
like
rip a hole.
chafing your legs, and it
Yeah.
was ripping holes in, and like it wasn't comfortable, And but then you didn't want to put them in your cargo pants because then you get these like weird bulges, and
Yeah.
and that messed up all the starch you put on them.
But it was, I love the ACUs. I love the ACUs.
Corey said, "Oh, here's a good idea." Corey said that he heard that better for kicking, like if you're like the ship goes down, they act like almost like kind of like flipper, like fins,
Fins, yeah.
as far as
Yeah.
the bell bottom thing goes. I could see that.
And I remember, like, in
That
like
makes sense.
basic water survival and stuff like that, they'd teach you how to take them off.
Oh yeah,
You slip them off.
yeah. We did that with the BDUs, where
Yeah.
you pull them off and then you tie them, and
Tie
then you
'em.
like
and it becomes a
the air thing. Yeah,
a life preserver.
yeah.
So, but
Yeah,
very
we did.
comfortable.
We did that in our water survival, the one where we like they walked us out on the diving board, and we were blindfolded and everything, and they like spun us around and then shoved us off, and we had to like do all that shit and come
Yeah.
back up and everything and swim to the edge of the pool. And I'm like, when is this going to happen?
Yeah,
When am I going to be on a diving board and
In
they're
the
going to
Army.
shove me into a pool?
you never know. You
Like
never know.
where is that going to happen in Afghanistan?
When you go to the YMCA.
Just some of the weird training that happens that, like I feel like sometimes I wonder about that. Like if there was like a basic training for landscaping, like what are some of the weird ass things that we would come up with to teach recruits, and I'm using air quotes here, like,
String a weed eater.
like all the different, like, well, that would be a speed test thing,
Yeah.
who can do it the fastest, and, like get it
It's kind of like cleaning your weapon.
not only, yeah, exactly. Not only string it, but then get it going, and like all, and hit like a certain patch. Like it would be from no string, no gas, all those things to finish the patch, and then there'd be
man.
like spreading mulch, who like, and you'd have the drill instructor would be like, have a ruler, like, there's a spot here. There's a mound 2 inches. It's supposed to be 1 inch even across. We should do that. We should have like we should come up with a landscaping Olympics sort of thing,
Landscape boot camp.
like a boot camp, but then you could have regionals, and they send their best guys to like to like a Quib Expo.
I'm sorry, guys. you're talking to the weed eater champ right here, and is that something to be proud of or not? Like, I've always questioned that. Should I be proud that?
Well, when you say weed eater champ, what do you mean though?
Like
what exactly are you?
Speed, accuracy,
Okay,
detail,
all right.
just perfection.
including edging with the trimmer.
Oh yeah,
All right.
oh yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Put me on a straight line, miles and miles. Nowadays we do.
I wish you guys could see the look in his eyes when he's saying
like
that.
it's upset. Like
He's dead serious.
put the earphones in and rock and roll, man. Like just weed eat. So, like let's
Yes. Okay. So
let's think about a platoon,
okay.
and let's think, and Corey's listening, maybe on a ship. In landscape, our employees,
Yes.
the weed eater man, is it infantry in the Army, or would it be that E1 boatsman mate? Like, that to me, because
That's a tough one.
because the weed eater guy, to me, that's like the grunts. That's like the guys getting the job done. Because if you go and mow a property, the weed eater guy is what makes it look detailed and complete.
Right. He's like the last line of defense. Well, actually, that's the blower. But
So is he the private, or is he the boatsman mate? Seaman apprentice. I would think probably E3 and below, maybe the weed eater guys.
okay. So actually, let's look at this at a broader spectrum here. Are we talking about a company that just does lawns, or you know what I'm saying? Because if you start talking like, okay, so we have a mowing crew, but then we also have like an install crew. Like,
but maybe
what I'm saying?
Maybe the install crew is like back in the day when we were in the Army. Selection, you had to be an E5.
Well, that's why I'm like. So let's broaden this picture out, because if we're only talking mowing, then each of those would be very specialized. But if you broaden it out, then
so you enlist in a landscape company, you're
right?
You're going to be an E1 weed eater guy.
Oh, this is fun.
Or you're going to be that boatsman mate,
right?
Seaman recruit, which is Navy goes seaman recruit, seaman apprentice, seaman, and then petty officer, third class, then second class, then first class, then chief.
Okay, let's keep it to E1, E4, E2, all those things. Like no matter how many times I hear the damn Navy stuff,
it's a tongue twister.
It throws me off with all the different names.
And it's
but yeah. So okay, so
and I didn't know Air Force until I was in the Army, because the Air Force was always with us.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, they are on every base, aren't they?
Well, it's like Navy's always with Marines,
bases. Right? And then Air Force. Well, and it makes sense because the Air Force was the Army before they became the Air Force. Yeah. As far as the
U.S. Army
split
Air Corps.
off. Yeah.
And but soldiers need a ride.
Yeah.
Just like Marines need a ride. Like it's kind of we go hand in hand together.
Yep.
But nowadays it's a joint effort, and so all the services coming together, I think is like super cool. So the weed eater guy.
Okay. So you get
private
hired,
first class.
You get hired on in a company. Well, no, I'm just trying to I'm figuring this out. Like, so when you get hired on in a company, a landscaping company, what is typically the first job that you get handed?
Weed eater.
Weed
eater blower guy.
Yeah.
If you're on a mowing crew.
Yeah.
So Riley, he started the other day. We still got we never agreed on what we were going to pay him.
Yeah, we still don't have it in the system either. We
got
a couple of days. We're fine.
Yeah. Monday's payroll day, so yeah, I'm scrambling. Russ, I need his Social Security number. I need his dependents. I need his banking information. But
I'll get that today. Thank you for reminding me. But since I've come on board, things have been much better.
We still wait.
I bring value to this company. Shit. Okay, so
he's the
well, but that's the thing though. You were just talking about how that's the skilled position, and yet we're saying that's the first position they go to. That's weird.
Well, let's say backpack blower.
You know what I'm saying? I feel like the backpack blower would be or like raking leaves if they depending on when they come on.
Yeah.
Like picking up sticks, doing all the other stuff.
What do you do for your landscape? I pick up sticks.
Because I feel like the guys, if you're coming onto an established mowing crew, like the guys know the properties, they're on those zeros, or ride-ons, whatever, walk behinds, and they're flying. Because
here's the perfect job for an E1.
Okay,
push mower.
There you go.
Yeah. You can't mess that up. Like it's
Well, we say that.
we say that. My guys would tear up an anvil.
Oh, we got. Hold on, sir. Corey and Doug said. Doug, hold on. Shoot, I got multiple. Okay. Doug said line trimming is a skill.
Yeah, well, true.
It
And
is
yeah,
true.
and guys, I'm sorry.
And then Corey said, hold on. I got to take my glasses off. Hold on, guys. I got my seeing glasses and I got my reading glasses. I don't need my reading glasses for my cell phone because I have my my stuff set for like it's bigger,
Bold and big.
but it throws it off if I'm reading my regular. He said,
It's one letter at a time.
he said, well, he gave a shout out to E4 Mafia. Absolutely, brother. E4 Mafia, always. He said, I put them on a zero turn. Mowing is simple. You can treat up a property with a string trimmer. So that's where I was kind of thinking is as far as like the skill set of a zero turn versus that line trimming of making
still,
that beautiful line down that sidewalk.
But here's and I've
practice.
always thought like and like I said, yeah, probably your weed eater guy is your crew leader. Maybe that's the E4. Maybe that's the squad leader.
Because he's watching what's going on. He's finishing up things and looking. Yeah. Okay.
And if the customer comes out, it's better for him to put down the string trimmer than somebody to jump off the mower because the mowers need to keep mowing.
Yeah. Good call.
But I would say probably push mower would be the first.
Yeah.
No,
I would
E2,
something along those lines, like a push mower, whatever type of thing you got going on your properties.
The E2, E3 is your zero turn guys.
Yeah.
And then possibly E4, the weed eater guy.
Because he's kind of finishing up things and looking at what still needs to be done. Yeah.
But and we got to remember though, maybe that's the corporal because there's the specialist. The Army has
True.
two E4s.
Yeah.
Whereas a corporal is an NCO, and just like E4 in the Navy, you're an NCO. Everybody's a petty officer, third class at E4.
Oh, okay.
So
Gotcha.
Marines, everybody E4. Yeah. You're corporal. Everybody.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
Corporal.
Yeah. For the corporal part of it. Yeah.
They don't have a.
They don't have a specialist. Yeah.
Yep. And that's weird because I knew guys that were like I was an E8 specialist. I'm like, what are you talking about? They're like, I didn't want to be an NCO, but I got the pay. I just didn't get the responsibility. So that's just telling the whole wide world that you're the laziest person in the world.
Yeah. That's like E4 Mafia mob boss. Like that's like the Godfather.
like you walk into a room and there's no Addies or anything. But that's an E8. He's an E8 specialist.
Yeah. He just walked right through.
He went all the way to E9. Like could you imagine staying in long enough, becoming an E9, and not being a sergeant major or master chief?
Yeah.
Like, no, I'm still a specialist, E9.
Well, I knew a guy that was, when I was in that, he had been in for 15 or 16 years, and he was an E4.
Yeah.
And it was like I don't know how he explained to me like what happened or whatever, but like it was this weird, crazy, because it was only supposed to be at the time anyway. I think it was like 8 or 9 years, like that you had before you had to do something.
You can retire out of the Army as a specialist.
Yeah. But back then it was like they had the rule of like 8 or 9 years where like after that you had to
make rank or
do something, whatever it was. And I want to say that he went to some school or something or whatever it was, and then like flunked out of it, and so then he got more time to like go back, but then there was no slots or something. It was this weird, like he explained it to me. It was crazy.
Do you think he did it on purpose?
I think so.
Because some people just don't want to make sergeant.
Yeah, no, I think he totally was like he figured out a way basically
system to stay E4
to do it, and he was so connected, man. Like anything you needed on the base, anything you needed, and Bragg's a big base.
Yeah.
But he knew
everybody,
and that's how I actually got to know him because I needed some gear for a deployment, and I was like, dude, like, in my supply sergeant was like, hey, go talk to this guy, and I was like, you're an E6, you're telling me to go talk to this? What? He's like, trust me, man. I was like, all right, dude, like I trust you, like, so all right, so I go and talk to him. It was weird. It was like I go into this like little. Because it was still back when I don't know, they probably still have those, but like the World War II, like those white buildings and everything,
Yeah.
They still had those going on, and so like I go in and like knock on the door, and it's like, come in, and like I open up the door, and it's just like a single desk in the middle of the room, and he's like, can I help you? I was like, yeah, so and so sent me, and he goes, oh yeah, come on in. Like I had to be invited. And then he's like, "What do you need?" And I was like, "Oh, I need, I gave him the list of gear. I was like, I need some gear for a deployment, but nobody can find it." And he's like, "Oh yeah, no, I can get this for you. Come back tomorrow, 9 a.m. I'll have it for you." And I'm like, "Oh, okay. Is that all?" And he was like, "Yeah, you're dismissed." I was like, I'm just like, what happened right now? And sure enough, I show back up, and it was sitting out front with my name on it. Like there was like, I didn't even have to go inside. It was the craziest thing. But then I ended up, like, a while later, I ended up having some drinks with him and stuff. A couple other guys I knew, he was there, and I started talking to him, and he was telling me about, like, because I was like, what the hell, dude? Like, you're like 90 years old. Like, how the hell is he? I mean, I felt that way. I was like, whatever, 20 at the time, 21. Yeah. And he was probably like 40, but, that he was like 90 to me at the time. But.
Well, and I walked into the latrine one time. And I was a staff sergeant. I walked in, there's a buck sergeant. And, like, this dude was, like, super old. And he was cleaning the head. Like, he was in there cleaning. Yeah. And I'm like, "Hey, man, what's going on?" He's like, "Oh, nothing, man." And we stand there and we got to talking. He was an officer. And at 30 years, they force you out. Like,
oh, yeah, gotcha. Yeah.
You can only be an officer for 30 years unless – like you're going to the Pentagon and all
right,
that
yeah,
stuff.
Your head.
You're the true. You're the top brass.
You're the Eisenhower.
Yeah. And he's like, I wanted to do 40. I got my 20-year letter, and so they allow these guys to come back in as an E5, but they can't like make E6 or E7. They can finish like their 40 as an E5, and he's like one of the few people that did that.
So like 10 years as an E5, basically, is what you're.
And he was the happiest.
Like, it's just crazy. I mean, I get it. I get it because, like, to me, there's a certain point, and not with everybody. Like, I never felt this way, but I feel like there's a certain point. Well, maybe I did. I don't know with reintegration, but I feel like military is a lot like prison in a certain aspect. Is that like you get so used to the daily ins and outs of life.
Yeah,
you're told what to do. You know your thing. You go to chow. You do this. You do that, and then you get out, and suddenly it's like. You don't know what to do anymore because there's like freedom and all these other people are acting weird and you don't, so
normal is weird.
So yeah, so like I get where somebody who's been in for 30 years would be like, no, I don't want to I need to keep doing what I'm doing, not because of the money or the this or the that, just like I don't know how to live otherwise.
Yeah. And that makes sense now that you said that. But he was just happy go lucky. And like when I would see him again, I would try to avoid him because he really, really wanted to talk, like to everybody. Like he was,
sure,
like just a talker. And I mean, I had respect for him, but it was again one of those things. Like I didn't want to hear his life story again.
Right.
So
yeah. But that's where it was because before when he had that other and that's the difference. Like when he was 30 years an officer. That's what it was. The life was about, and then he became. He goes into E5. It's a whole different scenario, but he's still got that persona of officer of like I tell people about my life.
Yeah,
because that's what I have going on. But
it's like, all right. So does he salute a second lieutenant? I mean, technically yes.
And well, the bigger question is, how does he feel about saluting a second lieutenant? Yeah. Like, is he? I mean, from what you said, to me it sounds like he's like, dude, I'm just happy to still be in. Like, yes sir, no sir. Like, I'll scrub this head.
Here's a toothbrush.
Just interesting.
Yeah.
So okay. So let's transition from mowing crew because we established that one
to landscape.
So then you have the sergeant because you have the E4. The E4 would be the specialist. We're saying that that's the crew leader, which would be the trimmer guy, or however you want to look at it on your crew thing. So we have that. So then the sergeant becomes the ops guy who is like there's multiple crews. He's doling out the duties for the day. You know what I'm saying?
Or would that be where we have the second lieutenant? If he's ever seeing 3 or 4.
I'm only pausing on that one because I do that in another half an hour and I'm like, I'm not a second lieutenant.
Because I'm thinking
I am no butter bar.
I'm thinking E5. E5 is like, hey man, I'm gonna go to selection. I'm either gonna try out for irrigation specialist or landscape.
Well, I feel like so E5 would be I feel like that would be E6 and above would be the selection thing because the reason I said is because I think E5 as an E5, like as they are an E5, they can still be promoted in things like everyone should. Everyone should aspire to actually moving up. Heaven forbid they want to better themselves with educating themselves on their off time and doing other things in order to.
But, oh man, I'm happy being E4.
Yeah, but it's the same. It's the same as the military. but
it is. You're right. I never thought about that because poor Caleb does not want to do
E4 Mafia.
He wants to mow.
But I feel like the E5 is a guy who can jump over to different things. So he's not necessarily in charge of the crews, like multiple crews, but he's kind of that floater of like, oh, okay, I like this guy called out, I can have him go mow, or I can have him go take some trees down because, bouncing around a little bit, like he knows enough to be able to do those different things.
Is tree cutter an arborist?
Well, no, I don't mean like dropping trees. I mean like helping on the tree crew. Yeah. Not running the tree crew.
Still lower enlisted going out.
Yeah.
With
he has the skill. He has different skill sets so you can use on different crews, but he's not going to lead those crews.
Yeah.
But then you get to E6 and above. That's the trouble catcher of, okay, we got like let's use trees for an example. Like there's this tree that's got some issues. Like we're not sure what to do with it. Okay, this guy comes in and helps out with that one.
Same thing like an irrigation tech.
Yeah, that type of scenario where irrigation tech, lighting, there's a wiring issue, some, those type of different things. They've got the experience,
but they've also been with you long enough that, like you said, on their off time, they've, did a irrigation association course.
Right. Yeah.
And they've learned, they've got trained in it, and they're wanting to move up in the company.
Yeah, they don't want to like necessarily do just irrigation, but they want to broaden their skill set.
So let's move. Who is the first sergeant? Typically a guy like Russ Owens.
Stop. I'm not. Everybody listening. Corey, if you're out there listening, back me up, brother.
Senior Chief. Senior Chief Russ Owens.
Just me.
But like really, like in the Army, even like an E7 Sergeant First Class, I think doesn't get as much respect as an E7 Navy. Because
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, well, that I would defer to you on that one because I don't have the experience on
both ends,
on both sides. Yeah, on that side.
Like when somebody makes chief in the Navy, that's a big deal.
Right.
Like that is.
I would agree that E7 is not really a. It's like, okay, so now you're in that weird period between E6 and E8.
Yeah. And I think E6 is like the hardest working position. Like
definitely.
Staff Sergeant and Petty Officer First Class, like because you're trying to prove to yourself to get into that E7 because.
Well, I think a lot of guys in the E6 position are also trying to decide if they're going career.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I guess depending on because it
depends on your MOS.
Speaking from PSYOP's experience, we made rank really fast.
Yeah.
So the E6 guys were kind of like, okay, am I doing this? Because if you did, then it was
E7,
admin
E8s.
and all the other things and career and stuff like that.
Yep.
Whereas below that, it was still kind of up in the air.
Yeah.
But I feel like once you hit E6, you had some serious decisions to make.
Yeah.
On that.
Well, Navy wise. I know a lot of guys that made chief fast. Not their first enlistment, but they're year 8, year 9, they're pulling chief. Especially if you come in like with some college and
definitely.
You come in as an E3 and then you make E4 right away, and then it's just a matter of time and rank.
Yeah.
But when you make chief in the Navy, your uniform changes. You wear the officer uniform. It's just different rank.
Didn't know that.
Yeah. So you back in let's talk boot camp days. You went from the dungarees working uniform to the khakis. So the khaki pants, khaki shirt, and you could either wear the little flat that you open up.
I thought you were talking about gloves there for a second. I was like, wait, you guys wore gloves?
No, but we could put her.
For a visual, he was like kind of rubbing his hands together a little bit. I was like, I get it now.
That flat hat. I don't even know what they called it.
I have no idea.
Yeah, we wore them with Johnny Cash's. And so, and then we had Johnny Cash. And now today's Navy, everybody gets, camouflage, like even in basic training, like on the ships.
Yeah, they've switched over,
On the ships, they're wearing a digital camouflage pattern. Not the blues anymore. They're actually wearing greens, browns, blacks there because, they're trying to, everybody that comes through, if they're going to go like Marine Corps side, if they're going to go SWIC, if they're going to go all that, they've got a tactical uniform that they can report to training with.
Exactly. Yeah, they don't have to switch out everything every time, which makes sense.
Yeah,
totally makes sense.
But like working uniform, like an E6 would have black pants, khaki shirt, and once you make chief, you wear khaki pants, khaki shirt, like everything is khaki, and that's kind of a big.
So
deal.
you can see from like a distance, like visual wise, like you know who's who for the most. I mean, obviously not exact rank, but you can you know, especially that one. There's
and then like you know the officers would have a lot more gold like on their hat and stuff, whereas the chief would just have that chief symbol in it. But still, like you make chief and then senior chief, and then those are the guys just waiting to make master. But damn, a master chief and a sergeant major, man, that's the ticket, bro. Like, those are some bad dudes. I don't care what MOS you got.
Oh, yeah.
So.
Yeah. There's, well, and so.
And I did not know this, man, but at MARSOC, Marine Special Operations Command, you know, each battalion or whatever, or each company, whatever, but where there is the sergeant major, there's also a master chief. And so talking to some of those guys, they're like, it's really cool that I have somebody, my peer, who's the exact same grades,
I gotcha.
You know,
okay.
that we can bounce ideas because there's so many SARCs, there's so many Navy corpsmen that's attached to MARSOC that there's a master chief there that works side by side with the sergeant major.
Okay, I gotcha. Yeah, that's cool that they did it that way.
And then the master chief and the sergeant major, I've heard both of them say, hey, man, this like I've got my colleague here that I can, you know, we can put our brains together. And usually it's probably the Navy helping the Marine.
Well, it's one of those interesting things where you think about like where that idea came up from, you know, like like that was definitely on the lower enlisted side. Can we please have somebody who knows what they're doing in charge of that guy so that so he doesn't just come off half cocked.
But dude, like I was, you know, because I still follow all these pages on Instagram and stuff, and that's like the command sergeant major of JFK. Dude, he looks like he's 30.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
some of these guys, well, and that's the crazy thing is that I see some of these guys and I'm like, wait, when did they enlist?
Yeah.
I was like, when I did? Like, I could be a command sergeant major. Not that I ever would have. There's no way in hell.
But this, like, and
I would have never made that.
And this was like, this was the schoolhouse, JFK, going around recruiting, just trying to, you know, they were going to different Army posts and like setting up like recruiting events and trying to get guys to come in and be a part of the brotherhood. And this dude, I was like, man, this dude was super cool. But I'm like, you look like you're 30 and you're a command sergeant major of John F. Kennedy.
Well, and like that, like the schoolhouse is like the schoolhouse. Like, I mean, there's like levels and rooms to that place where like you literally can't go unless you're supposed to be like there was classrooms that had like the little punch button codes on them and stuff like that to be able to enter.
Yeah,
you know.
And well, back when, I mean, there was no cell phones back when you were there.
Oh no, yeah, no. There like when I was getting out, like the flip phones were
coming
like
out.
Just the flip phone, like the ones that had a battery life of like an hour.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Like the big
I'm
bricks.
going to turn my phone on and make a call because if it would trickle down throughout
exactly, and you were paying like $1 a minute for it.
But, you know, I still talk to Jared, a buddy of mine that's still in. He's a cyber warfare officer. And he's like, dude, like, yeah, he said we walk into the rooms and there's a box, cell phone, we empty pockets.
Oh, gotcha.
Like we go in with just the uniform on, and it's, you know, it's top secret level.
Yeah, I mean, I could see that. There was, you know, when, I mean, like you said, when we were there was no need for that because there was nothing. You weren't there was no small devices like that. You had to have you had an over the shoulder VCA or VHS, you know, camcorder if you were going to record something on that side. But yeah, there was because there was a few different classes that I had to take that were in those punch code rooms and stuff, and it was weird going into them because it was almost like you'd walk in and it was quieter, and I mean I know it was because there was soundproofing and stuff, but just
you knew you were being watched.
It was just weird. Like the whole ambiance of the room was like you're sitting there going like, what are we about to know?
Yeah.
that we should or shouldn't know or whatever else that, you know, like it's just.
Did you ever, like, did you ever experience that? Like you're like, I wish I didn't know this after you were told.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely.
Yeah.
There was a few times where I was just like, I don't want to know that.
Yeah.
I don't want to know these things, but you don't have a choice. It's not like they like, okay, option A or option B, and they hold out a little, checklist for you, and you're like, and you check a box, and then you go into it. It's like, hey, we got a meeting, go into here, and then you walk out, and you're like, I'm going to go have like a half bottle of Jack and some beers and go to sleep, and hopefully I'll wake up and forget
that you knew this.
Like that's why I was happy we had the sport parachute club that we always went to. Like there were so many days where that was the thing where we would get out of briefings or meetings or classes, and we would go there, and we'd sit down, and Jenny, I still remember Jenny, one of the bartenders, she knew, like, we would just sit down, and she'd come over and hand us a beer and a shot, and she's like, one of those days, huh, guys? And we're like, yeah. She's like, it's all good, I got you. And nobody would talk for a good half an hour. We do our shot, we do a toast to the shot, and then we just sit there and sip on our beers, and then finally somebody would bring something up of like whatever was on the TV or something. We'd start talking.
Game last night?
Yeah, that small talk. But man, there were some days where it just didn't want to, like, just want to pull your brain out and like toss it in the trash can and be like, okay, ready for a new one.
Well,
that big white building fucked me up more than some of my deployments, man. Pardon my French, people. Pardon my French. It's been a week, guys. It's been a week, and for both of us, and not just business wise and working and all that stuff, but there's other stuff that just, it's been a week. So again, I want to say I appreciate everybody listening. You guys don't know how much it means to have you listening to us and supporting us, because we wouldn't be doing this without you, and definitely
that's the number one reason we're doing it.
Yeah,
is
like,
for the listeners.
Just knowing that you guys are out there, Corey, Doug, and everybody else out there listening.
I did it.
Thank you so much.
I've done it for 5 years as a volunteer.
Yeah,
and it's because I wanted to. It's for another time in my life I volunteered. Back to military.
Yes,
dude. When was the first time you realized, like, because what is the mission of the U.S. military? Like, when it boils down to it, what is our mission?
Well, I mean, for me, it was defending freedom.
Yeah,
that was which sounds weird, because how do you put that into a mission?
Yeah. Because there were so many missions. I would always.
But that's where I always looked at it, like defending the flag, defending the freedom of the country, but then the problem is you get, there's times you get jaded where you're in certain places around the world, and you're like, whose freedom am I defending at the moment?
Yeah.
Which I'm not disparaging, because anybody's freedom should be defended at all times, and that's where I kind of transitioned into a different aspect of my life, I think, as I got older in the military, as I'm not defending just my freedom and my family's freedom. I'm defending everyone's freedom.
True.
The ability to choose their own fate.
And as a youngster in the military, I had the complete utmost respect and faith in my leadership.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I was.
Oh yeah, yeah.
If they said charge the machine gun, guess what? I'm gonna charge the damn machine gun. Like,
yeah. Well, it's like special ops. Send me.
Let's go.
Yeah.
But when did you realize, though, that, like, man, we're in the business of killing people?
I was probably about 3 years in.
3 years in, that you realized that this was.
Yeah, because I was on that would have been my second or third deployment
at
that point, and third deployment. Had to do a quick inventory there. It would have been my third deployment. I was like, why? Yeah. Like, this makes no sense whatsoever. What we're doing here makes no sense, and it didn't jade me enough to just give up or anything like that, but that was that little first, like, crack in the armor. Like, what
we kill people,
like what's the exact mission here other than humanitarian?
Yeah.
And I think maybe that's because it was my first non-humanitarian mission, like fully.
It was
because PsyOps and civil affairs, it's very much humanitarian oriented, trying to stop the amount of killing that's happening, mitigate that amount of killing. And that was the first one where instead of running like the give up missions, as we call them, where we were, blasting the music and doing all the other things to try and get people to surrender, it was okay, now you're going to broadcast so that people will come towards you so that the other guys can come into them.
Wow.
scenario.
Yeah.
You know, where you're just sitting hunkered down, hoping that your pack will protect you again because it already has a few bullet holes in it. You know, and you're just broadcasting like tank sounds or small arms fire or whatever it may be. And for those listening, by the way, fun fact: an Abrams tank when it starts up sounds a lot like a jet engine because it basically is.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
It sounds like an F-16 getting ready to take off.
Dude, you know, you keep talking these loudspeakers. We need one. We should have one in the booth.
Right?
That's Russ's PSYOP speaker. Blasted boots on the ground. Radio.
Dude, there's so many times where I miss my loudspeaker setup that I had. It was like, I don't know. It was cool because I went from the first gen to the second gen. Well, maybe there was another one before that probably. I'm assuming, but I mean the shit that I had was way old.
Is this a speaker though that you would put in the trunk of your car and rock music too?
No.
Okay.
No. Not a lot of bass.
Not a lot of bass. Okay.
All treble.
All treble.
Yeah. The opposite of Meghan Trainor. But the backpack setup was a 2-speaker cone, and it was for distance more than anything else, like to be able to be heard long distances.
Gotcha.
You know, I mean, like the Humvee setup was an 8-cone array, and that could be heard over a mile away.
Okay.
You know, which, you know, you think about like someone bumping their speakers, and they drive by your house, and you're like, I have no idea what song they were playing, but
The
that's
windows
annoying.
rattle.
You know,
Yeah.
because they're going by versus you having to plug your ears when they drive by because it's so loud that you can't even hear your own brain at that moment. Like that's the kind of difference that these speaker arrays have.
Gotcha.
Especially the newest ones. The one I was getting out, I don't know what they use now, but there was a second gen that they came out with while I was in that was like made the old ones look weak, basically.
Yeah.
And but the original one that I used in the pack, the biggest complaint I had on it was the batteries, because they were those big ass brick batteries.
Yeah.
That, you know, weighed. I think they weighed about 3 pounds a piece, 4 pounds a piece, something like that. And you had to use 3 of them in order to power your speakers. And you had about an hour of broadcast time in those, and so you had to have at least a backup, if not 2, in your pack. So your pack was pretty much all batteries.
Were they crisp, man?
No, I wish. If they had been Crest,
You'd have been good to
hell,
go.
Milwaukee, whoever, I don't care. It would have been way better because those things were so heavy. I mean, the average pack weight when we were on a 3 to 4 day deployment was about 110 pounds, give or take.
Yeah.
So it was one of those things where you strapped into it on the ground, and then your buddies helped you stand up. Like you couldn't stand up on your own wearing those packs. And then you're like, you know, trying to. I wonder why my knees are so fucked up. Maybe it's because I was jumping off Chinooks, you know, a 3-foot drop onto the ground because they weren't landing; they were just hovering over, and then we jump off.
And you get that 100
with that much weight.
There's Owens down. Pick him
Yeah,
up.
exactly. Oh, dude, the first time I did one of those ops, man, that face first, just.
You're just hoping nobody saw you.
I had it didn't matter because I had a big scrape on my forehead and my nose for like a week because I just like rubbed.
Oh man,
I rubbed, but the thing was nobody made fun of me because they had all done it. They were like, it was like almost like a badge of courage or something, like or badge of honor, whatever. Like, yeah, he popped his cherry on that one.
You would have got your trident.
Yeah, exactly. There you go. But yeah, I mean, going back to your point though, you know, there's a certain point where you realize what the true, like what you said, what the true mission is to begin with. Like, you know, there's that mission and there's the true mission, and under the guise of whatever it may be, you know, whether it's freeing people, whether it's democracy, whether it's freedom, all the other things that we talk about, there's one sole thing that happens beyond all of that. There's always casualties.
Yeah.
There isn't, like, if it wouldn't be war if there was no casualties, it's not a war.
Yeah.
That's, you know, when it comes down to whether it's 5 people, 10 people, 100 or 100,000, you know, we've just gotten better at mitigating how many at this point of ours, not theirs.
Yeah. 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 Well, you know, and it's true. They say, you know, some of the hardest positions in the military now are drone pilots. Oh,
no doubt.
Because they see it all.
Yeah.
They're they're the ones dropping a lot of these bombs, and they said it's the highest suicide rate in the military.
No, they're chasing people.
Yeah.
It's one thing to, like, you're behind a bunker, you're behind some sandbags, or whatever it may be, or you're
and they're shooting back
type
at you.
thing. Yeah, and you've got rounds coming at you, and you're just shooting, trying to save yourself. That's one thing, but when you're looking at a screen and you got a guy like waving his arm saying like, "Don't do it,"
and your orders is to
drop
it.
That's a whole different scenario.
Yeah. I remember one of our medic instructors talking about pink mist, and that's what kind of, made it up here.
Yeah.
Like, holy cow, dude! Like this is for real. It's well, in our case, it was about saving lives, but it was like, this is what Uncle Sam wants us to do.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah, when you get into those situations, if you don't have that switch that you can flip to the other mindset and then switch it back off, that's where a lot of guys, that's what happens. A lot of those guys, that switch fails.
Yeah.
And that's where you have a lot of the mental issues that we have in the 22 a day and everything, is because that switch fails.
Yeah.
And they can't switch it off, and then so they just relive it all the time.
Yeah.
And it's like
you're getting cold chills.
Yeah.
And a lot of it, and the Army told us this, like, because when I was in Mississippi, there was we were big on the mental health, the guys coming back from Afghanistan.
Yeah.
And they're like, number one reason is finance and romance. Like, a lot of it is. And that's why, like, I was always like, when I was in the Navy, I was single the whole time. They're like, if we wanted you to have a family, we would have issued you one. And that stuck, man. I mean, I still talk about it today, and it's 30-plus years. I can remember my company commander saying, if we wanted you to have a family, we would have issued you one.
Yeah.
Like,
I was the same way. I didn't like. That's the reason I got out, because I wanted a family and I couldn't have one. And if I was in, I just couldn't.
Yeah. And it
wouldn't have happened.
My last medic recert at Bragg, JFK, the civilian contractor that was teaching the course was a retired sergeant major, Delta medic.
Oh,
like, this dude is badass.
Yeah.
And he's like, dude, this guy was so cool. Like this, and he's like, I never had a family my whole time. He said, I had my parents.
Right, yeah. You have family, but not family.
He said, I was not going to put a wife and kid through everything. And he says, when I got out, and like, he's married to like a lady that's 20 years younger than him, and he had like a 3-year-old little girl, and he was like 55ish.
Yeah.
But just one of the coolest guys ever. And you see a lot of those, especially in the special forces. Or we should never say special forces. We should say special operations guys that wait until they get out. They do their 20, or 22. Nobody just does 20. Nobody just does 20.
It never works that way.
Because you're going to do 20, and then they're going to say, well, you go to apply for your benefits, and they're like, you actually had 19 years, 364 days, and 10 hours. So,
and there is no, okay, I'll sign up for another 2 months. Like, nope,
no,
you got 2 years at least.
But like that, your last, I think your last enlistment, like, can be perpetual. Like, you can stay as long as you want if you're at a certain rank. But
I've heard that if you're a certain rank,
My last enlistment until they retired me, I could have stayed indefinite. It was like an indefinite enlistment.
Gotcha.
But when I was in Army Basic, our first sergeant retired right afterwards, and he did 20 years and 2 months. He did do 2 months.
Wow.
But it was his last enlistment of 4 years. He said, give me 50 months.
Oh, okay.
And like he said, there's no way, because he said, I've seen it too many times.
Yep.
Guys get out at 20, and they're like, well, actually, you got 19 years, 364 days.
Yeah.
Like, he's like, no. They were like, well, why 2 months? Why not just 2 days? He said, I'm not giving the Army any chances. I have 20 years and 2 months. So,
smart.
And he was done.
Yeah.
He was done. And I seen the sergeant major put him at parade rest in front of us. And it's
no wonder he was.
And that pissed me off, though.
I mean, that can you imagine that being your last enlistment is basic training? Like,
God, I know,
you know what I mean?
Like, what
the
fuck, dude?
That's rough.
Yes. Like, what happened?
Rough.
Like,
unless you're like over the whole thing and stuff, like, the training center.
Yeah.
Like, I could see that position, but not like
But dude, that's right. Because every there was, I don't know, we had like 4 companies in our battalion for boot camp. I don't know, like it was weird. I mean, it was Fort Sill, so everybody was either going right to Benning for infantry, or a lot of us were medics. But the whole thing with that, that was his last day of duty.
Yeah,
was the first sergeant in the basic training.
Yeah, because mostly, especially like the drill sergeant specifically, like that's part of the whole, you have to do something in order to make more rank.
Yeah.
And so that's a common
thing
that you get sent to.
So that had to be his like second time.
Yeah.
Or third, maybe.
Yeah.
But maybe
interesting.
Maybe, his wife and kid, like he knew he was going to be safe those last
2
sure.
years. I mean, that's you make a great point that you're not going anywhere.
Yeah. You're going to be at Fort Sill for two years, and there's some
I hadn't thought about it that way.
Normalcy for the family.
Yeah,
so.
You get that the 9 to 5 or whatever you wanted to call it, but you're going to be back and forth Monday through Friday and do your thing and not have to do anything else. So yeah.
And
I could see that.
He was so cool. But dude, at first, God, he was the biggest butthole. But I mean, that was his job.
Right, sure.
But then, as you progress through the cycle, you're like, man, this guy's all right, man. Because he'll pull you to the side, man, check on you and stuff. And
those are the good. Yeah, I was gonna say those are the good ones.
Yeah,
the ones that do.
Is that our? Yep. That's Caleb, ain't it?
Good Lord, I got 3 or 4 different.
Hey, man, what we gonna do today?
Right. No, it's just people. Just people saying "be" right there.
Oh,
if
nobody's on time.
Okay, so the thing is you're running late before you're running late, right? 10 minutes before you're supposed to be there that you're not going to be there in 10 minutes. Why is it that it's always a minute or two after? Hey, I'm almost there.
I'm almost there, guys. I'm almost. Try to look. You're the first sergeant. Try saying that on active duty. Hey, first sergeant, I'm almost there for formation. Okay, we're gonna have a little fun with
texting
this.
him. He's talking to the formation. His phone goes off. Hold on a second. Hold on.
Yeah.
Oh, he's almost here. Okay. Back in the pocket.
But nowadays they probably, all right, team, go ahead and pull out your cell phone. Text mom and dad.
Well, there's probably a 5-minute grace period of formations at 8. But
8:05
be here by 8:05. That's when we do roll call.
Real sorry, I was talking to my girlfriend.
You can check in via the formation app.
Dude, but I heard that
they probably have it.
The smart cards we used to carry in our pockets.
Shit. The what?
Smart cards. Did y'all have smart cards?
No.
They were laminated cards that there was TC3, tactical combat casualty care card.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, but no, we didn't. Yeah.
And then I always had a 9-line form.
Yeah.
But then they had one on soldier suicide.
Yeah.
And then they had one on what color is your pee. Yes. I'm like, guys, y'all seriously, y'all don't know when you're dehydrated.
No, I know what you're talking about because I did see them.
Yeah.
We did not have them.
But another weird thing that drill sergeants had to do is soldier, I need to see the color of your pee. And these dudes just would drink water, man. They would not drink. I got so thirsty, man. It was I could pound a gallon of water. No problem. You just physically exert every drop of water out of your body. And these guys take a sip, and their pee is blood orange.
Oh yeah, yeah. No, that weird dark that.
God, and it would hurt. I'm like, I think I'll drink my water.
Yeah, I'm like, did you just pee maple syrup on the ground? What happened? What the?
When's the last time you drank, soldier? Yesterday or sorry.
They're shriveled up not because they've been in the water too long, but because they just have no hydration left. They're turning inward on themselves.
Oh man! All right, dude.
It's time to get out of here.
Right.
You got to get to class, and I got to get the formation ready.
We got to get to class. You got to go out there and put them. Guys, parade rest. And they got their weed eater out like this.
Present arms. Corey, do you do that to your guys? I don't know if Corey's still listening. Corey, if you're still listening, I want to know if you do that to your guys. Text me. Do you have them go through drills with the string trimmers? Do you?
Left, right, one. I want to hear Corey's. We got
to get him on the show with us one of these mornings.
We got to hear his cadence call.
Yeah, we got to get him in and talk some military stuff. And
because Navy and Army cadence was totally different. Like Navy, you could damn rock too, boy. I mean, it just shit made you want to dance.
Remember the movie? Like, I need to watch it again because I saw it. I can't remember
Stripes?
why I came across. Well, Stripes is a great movie, but Cadence.
I don't think I've seen that.
Oh, you have got to watch because you were talking about rocking. You need to watch that one because it's an awesome. I mean, it's an awesome movie. It's a very. I mean, it's an emotional movie, but they got a lot of. The reason it's called Cadence is because they do some kick-ass cadences.
Yeah.
We used to when I was in AIT, I got the drill sergeant used to call me to do cadence all the time because I watched that movie, and so I'd use a bunch of those cadences. Because we were marching from the barracks to the schoolhouse.
Yeah.
Because we were only a couple of blocks away from the schoolhouse there at Bragg.
And that had to suck, man.
Oh, it did.
Bragg.
Because every I mean, like people walking on the street, people driving by, they'd stop, like slow down and roll down their window and be like, "What the hell is that? Like, is that like people marching with a guide on and they're a drill sergeant? What the?
You're the only MOS on Bragg that has AIT.
Yeah.
Jesus, man.
Yeah. I got in trouble that last time, one time because we were in the chow hall and an SF guy came up to me and was like, "Are you guys basic training?" And I was like, "Yes, Sergeant." He was like an E7. I was like, "Yes, Sergeant." And he goes, "What? So what MO?" And he's like talking to me, and the drill sergeant comes and he's like, "Private, get back in the line." And I'm like, and I run back, and then I ended up getting in a big shit, like got dressed down and everything. I didn't get smoked, but like got yelled to and everything. Because we were told not to speak to anybody when we were in the chow hall, but I'm like, he was a sergeant.
E7.
Like I can't like.
The E7 asked me what I'm doing here.
He's like, from now on, you tell them you're not allowed to speak to anyone and refer to the drill sergeant. And I was like, oh, okay, drill sergeant. Like, and that E7 felt really bad. He was like, he like ended up walking by me like a little while later. He walks by and he didn't like move. He just kind of whispered. He's like, "Hey man, sorry about that. Didn't realize what was going on." And he kept walking. Like he felt bad.
He felt bad. Yeah,
because he was just curious.
Yeah. Because he's walking around with no hat on, hands in pocket.
Yeah, he's just like, what's up with this? He sees the unit patch and so he recognizes the patch. You know, but. All right, guys.
Y'all have a absolutely great day. Stay safe out there. Pray for Florida. They're going to get washed away. And keep praying for North Carolina. They need it. We'll see you bright and early tomorrow morning here at Two Landscape Vets, Boots on Ground Radio.
Cheers, brothers and sisters. Cheers.